Today we're going to do a quick workout, approximately 50 minutes. Anybody who wants to join in can. I'm still not 100%, but I'm way better than what I was last week, flu-wise. So hopefully I can make some progress today. I was hoping to go to training actually, but I just still felt a little bit under the weather and maybe a little much too dangerous, you know, to go to training and then get someone else the cold or the flu or something like that. So today it's going to be some MMA training or some grappling, kind of a mixture of both, and I'm going to be focusing primarily on clean technique. So I've got my little friend here, JJ, my puppet, my Muppet puppet, and with him I'll be able to practice everything. Of course I need to use my imagination, so if I come here and I'm putting my hand here behind his head, I just have to imagine that his head's there and that, like, you know, so I don't forget other little micro details. For example, clasping my hand here, and then in case his head goes that way, so I can push that forward and push it back, or just putting my hand over his face to make it harder for him to breathe, right? So that's what we're going to be working with. We've got little JJ here, and I'm going to do a quick warm-up. Anybody who wants to join in, the training is very easy to join in. The gamer says hi. The gamer, welcome gamer. All right, so first I'm going to do a couple of bridges, get a little stretch, and then immediately go to escapes. So the escapes will be me on the bottom and my little puppet here on top, and I will be doing 5 of each. So 5 to the right, 5 to the left, and yeah, in between I'll be reading the comments. So Queen Rosa says, what are you doing? Hey Queen Rosa, we're doing some MMA training. Raven says hi. Mondeki Iris says hi. Oh, Mondeki Iris, is that Iris from Rwanda? Queen Rosie says okay, and Kobe Lad says hi. Welcome guys. Hopefully you're all doing well. So let's start with escapes. So I've got this dude here, and we're going to do a typical Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu escape, and we're just going to try and focus on the technique, but we're going to add the catch wrestling elements in it, and the catch wrestling elements help switch the opponent over, and then you practice your dominance on him. Oh yes, it is. Oh, Morakoze, thank you for joining, my friend. Thank you for joining, my brother. Hi Kareem and JJ. Yes, it's JJ, the old puppet JJ. Alright guys, so these you can practice along at home. I've already did a video on how I built a grappling puppet, so it's a very basic puppet. So let's get right into it. So first of all, what we've got here is this puppet here on my hips, right? So I don't want the puppet coming up here. If somebody is sitting on you like this, whether it's in the cage, whether it's in a self-defense situation, whatever it is, you don't want this. You want the person further down because they've got all your weight on your chest. And then if you don't know how to use your legs properly, you're going to have a big issue. Ultimately, how you defend yourself from this position in a real life conflict is very simple, guys. The eyes would be one option, and of course the groin with the elbows. So you're like this anyway, and then you can get some elbows into the groin. But we're going to be doing MMA and grappling. Mian said hi. Give a shout out. Is it Mian or Megan? Oh, it's Mian. Mian Kaladi said hi. Beast IRL says just like everyone can choose as they want. What's your name? Spasiba, thank you for joining. It's Kareem. Kareem, Namagomedov. No, 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 no. Ronan Rugby says hi. Welcome, Ronan Rugby. All right, so we've got this guy here. So we're going to do a classic. We have to keep him around the hip area, right? Down to the hip area. Make sure your opponent doesn't come forward. Don't stretch out your legs, your arms like this, because you're going to get caught in an armbar. So you want to make sure your elbows are close, like a boxer, right? And you just want to not push, but post. So you're posting, you're stopping the opponent from coming up. You can try this on your little brother or little sisters at home, but be very careful. Ronan Rugby says, hi, thanks, sir. You are most welcome. So now here, this foot, right? This foot, this is their leg. Their leg here, we want to capture that, right? So I take my right leg and I capture it here, right? So I've captured it here. So their foot is kind of like here. I don't know if you guys can see that all too well, but their foot is then kind of like this, right? So now he can't post with the leg. I keep this nice and tight and snuggle, and he can't post with this leg. So I've already taken care of one post. There's two posts that I need to take care of. We've taken care of one. This is the next one. So this post here, I need to decide. Either I drag this in, right? I grab him under the armpit, and the armpit, because if he pulls out, I can still grab him here. But if I just grab him here, and if he pulls that out, he can punch me. So we've got this here, and then this I bring in here. But I don't switch my hand all the way over to here. I switch it towards my center line so that I can pull it out just in case he needs a punch in the face, right? But we're just doing grappling for now. So I've got this, and I can pull this here, or I can pull it here. It's also a possibility. I've got my other underhook here, and what I can do is, once I've secured this hand, I can also bring it over here. That's also a possibility. But let's just keep it simple for now. So basically, I'm grabbing this hand here. I'm keeping it tight to my body. And now with this hand, I get ready to post there. That was my coach. And with this leg, I ram it into the ground, bringing up my left hip. And quite simply, hopefully you guys can see that. So you're making this kind of movement. You're doing this kind of movement here, right? You're 1, 2, and then with this leg here, you're bringing yourself into here. It's sort of like a judo flip. I forgot what they're called, Tamanakori or something. But yeah, it's a very simple. So I'm going to repeat that a couple of times from different angles so you guys can train along. So I've got JJ. JJ's putting his weight on me. If I'm going this way, it's going to be really hard if he's putting his upper body here. The law of physics, even if he weighs lighter than me, I'm going to go like that. Oh! So what I need to do now is make sure everything is in. If I keep my elbows flared like this, he's going to come in with his knees. And then it's going to be a lot of weight on my chest. You can still get out of this position, right? There are ways. For example, you can go under here. And then you can kind of flip him over here. And he'll kind of be doing a split when you do it. There's that option. There's another couple of options where you can use your legs or the momentum of your legs. But let's stay with the knee to elbow escape. It's a very basic escape. Everyone should know it. Even if you don't like grappling. And the knee to elbow escape is Actually, you might try it 7, 8 times in one training session, and you might only get it like 2 times. But the reason is, it's because the other person kind of is sensitive to what you're doing, right? So you just can't do it all the time and expect to get away with it. But if somebody doesn't know what they're doing or how they, you know, force you down, then that's the best way to do it. Beast IRL says, nice and easy strat. Strat? Yeah, strat. Drop a like, guys, and strat away. All right, let's get a couple of these done. That's my cat's bag, by the way. It's a literal bag for cats I got from Korea. So yeah, just on a side note, if you're wondering what that is. So he's here. Now I'm attacking the leg first. You can attack any part that you want, right? You can switch it up. Be careful though, he doesn't grab your leg and then pulls you like this. It's a very disadvantageous position. Then you have to start working to flipping him on that side, right? So always be wary that the opponent can always catch your leg. This is like a Zambo catch wrestling. Yep, so start. So that's 2. I'm just changing the variations now and again on how to flip them over. You can of course practice the same variation again and again. Now from this angle. Ah! Ah! Right? Like this. Now, I'm just practicing that sole technique. Of course, we would combine the techniques, and then the way my weight is distributed is important. So what I would normally need to do is keep my knees from the ground, because then I'm driving into the opponent. So I've got my shoulder on his neck right now, right? We just need to imagine that his head is here. And this could, for example, get me the tap, right? Right, so one more. I'm going to do it from this angle. I don't know if that angle will be beneficial for anyone. Or let me try it from like this, right? Like a here. So he's trying to fight for the position. I'm blocking him coming like over here. He pushes out, gets a leg over, and I'm like, oh no. I push here, he gets the next leg over. So now I need to make sure he can't like start to climb up, put too much weight on me. And that's the way I would normally stop. See, my knees are up from the ground, so it puts extra pressure on them. So that was 5 in that direction. I'll do 3 in this direction, and then we can move on to the next technique for anybody who wants to follow or try and emulate the techniques. So now we're going to be rolling to that side. So he's here. He might put his leg up here. I might try and catch it. He pulls it out, brings it down. I capture this arm and then get the leg, right? So you're not always just clean cut, putting your leg here and capturing this. Sometimes you have to vary between the two. So, or sometimes you might just do both at the same time. It all depends on the guy and how perceptive he is. So, excuse me, I cuddled right into him there. Where's his other arm? Right, so that arm is here. So we're here. He's out there. Putting my whole weight on him around his chest area. It's also very, very painful. One last one. He's on full mount. Disadvantageous position to be. So I've got him in full mount. Trying to get him off. Grab this. Put this here. This here. Huh? So this goes here. And then get his head, his leg, clasp the hands. And then knee on belly. So as I flipped, I landed like this. If I land like this, this foot is off so that I have more weight driving into the guy, right? And if I'm doing that around the chest or neck area, it's pretty gross position to be in, right? So this here, it's kind of moving forward. It's kind of like a spring forward, right? And I don't go like this, because as soon as I go like this, my weight is distributed again. I lift this up and this goes in here. What I sometimes do is I take the second foot off the ground, so I'm kind of like this sometimes. But the problem with that is it's harder to balance your weight. If you're balancing like this, and he pushes you, then you're going to fall off. Plan is pupiu. Lolo Levy says, Lolo, welcome. So yeah, speaking of plan, you can't plan too much, right? You always have to adapt how the guy is wearing. So now we're going to do side control escape. And I'm going to practice 3 things. Side control, he's basically on me here. So he's got my leg here. And he's got this here, right? So he's kind of like this on me. So I'm going to take this arm, my left arm, and I'm going to ring it here, boom, right? This stays here to bring him as close as possible. I bring it here with this, grab it, not ideal how I landed, but I don't know if you guys can even see me, but yeah, gets the job done. So when you're getting out of side control, you want a couple of variations, and you want to mix those variations because not one single plan is always going to work. But this is a good one. This is a good catch wrestling technique to get out of side control. It works on lower belts. So if the guy's here and he's got me, he's closed me, right? Let's say he's got this, right? So he's controlling my legs. So he's taking away the kinetic energy of my feet. So it's hard, right? I can't. He's basically what you would call this is disabled me. So the good thing is though, that if he's a beginner, I'd say a beginner to someone with a couple of years practice who makes minor mistakes now and again, then sometimes his head might be stretched out. So this is where you would come in with this. And I'm not talking about a rear naked choke. Actually, what I'm talking about is face, nose, and jaw cranks. So you could get them up. You can use the cable grip. The cable grip is tight. The S grip will give you more length and distance, if that makes sense. But the cable grip is tighter. And what I do is I push my chest to his left shoulder, bringing it down, whilst bringing this up, breaking his grip. Now he needs to disengage because the whole intention is to break his nose or to get his jaw. So Sumbath says do that again. Yeah, sure. So he's in side control. I'm here. The reason why you keep this up, by the way, guys, or rather here, is so that it makes it harder for him to come in here and then posture up, right? So I'm keeping this here, or here. And now what I want to do though is I want to grab his head. So he's in side control. I come, grab him like that, put that forward and try and get the tap. But it's more of an entry. So I would combine this with at least 2 other techniques, because what you do is if he sees that, he's going to deal with this arm. So then you have to move on from the side. Servicio ested. Casacanto, welcome Casacanto. McReaper says hi. Robin says, how do you do a rear naked choke? You want to Armbar shrimp out and post out. If it's jiu-jitsu, yeah. If it's catch wrestling, no. If it's catch wrestling, you want to catch him and you want to submit him whilst he's there in that position, you know. But if it's so I'll show the rear naked choke really quick. Somebody asked for that. My puppet is going all over the place. So I'll show you quickly. Of course, we have to imagine he has a head, right? And this is what you would call, for those of you who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you probably already know seatbelt, right? So seatbelt, the arm here, one arm here, you usually start from that position, right? So this is the seatbelt. Your training partner relaxes. This is how you can practice the rear naked choke. So what you want to do is you want to get in here. If you can control the legs, not too close, and don't over tie your legs, because then he can come in for you know, grabbing the legs and whatnot. So you want to keep kind of his legs and his balance, him kind of off balance. And I'm going in here. So what I want to do first is with this, I want to bring this through under here, right? If he looks up, I can immediately grab it. But most people, when they're in this position, the easiest thing to do is keep their chin to their chest. So when they do that, you come in like this, right? And here's where you have to get to work. He'll probably start to work on this. So this is when he does that, I go with that and slap this up, right? Slap this up and bring this to me. So it's over his head. So imagine that's his head. And then this goes in here. This goes in here. This is towards me. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to crank in any direction. And you don't want to go backwards. First of all, cranking can harm your guy that you're training with. So what you want to do is you want to slowly put on the pressure, right? So here the bottle crank as I slowly go forward. So you go forward. And you do it gently. Mr. Reaper said hi. Robin ZX says good work. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I don't give rear naked chokes too much in sessions. Like when I'm sparring with my colleagues, I never look for a rear naked choke. I prefer chin cranks, nose cranks, eye socket cranks. And also when I'm in rear naked choke, I've got a couple of defense moves that I can show you. So to defend against rear naked choke, you can actually tap the guy. But let's go back to what Sok was saying. Sok was mentioning shrimp. You don't want to did the subway? I suppose it's supposed to block the choke. Do you not have a dummy with your head? I am the dummy with my head. I am the dummy with my head. No, unfortunately, no. I put these in. So these are door warmers, and you can use them for the arms. So let me show you real quick. We'll get back to what Sok was saying about the shrimp, but we'll get to here. So JJ, I hope you guys can see all of this. Thank you, Beast IRL. Don't forget, guys, if you drop a like, it helps the channel, then I can do more of these. So JJ is putting these here. He's putting his hooks in here. And he has his seat belt, right? So he's behind me, and what he wants to do is get to this position here, where I would tap out. I can tap out with my legs, or I can say tap. If you're getting choked, sometimes it can be hard to speak, trust me. I know. All right. So here's 3 ways you can get out of the rear naked choke. Oh, Cyclone, how are you, my friend? Watch these, I think you'll like them. You can combine the 3 of them. Remember, not one technique will save you, it's combining the techniques that will help you. First thing, if his arm is underneath you, you can place this here, right? And this, you can go here, here. Then you can kind of do an arm straight bend, an arm straight bend. I've tried this maybe 20 times, And I've only ever tapped 2 people with it. But it has a 90% success rate getting the guy to reallocate his arms, right? It's supposed to be a blood choke. And how to do triangle. I can show you all that in a second. I don't do much triangle, but I know how to get out of them very well. Cyclone says, how about you? I'm doing well. How's the streaming going, my friend? So that's one thing. Of course, when you're doing this, right? When you're straightening out the arm, he's not going to allow you to do it. So he's going to start getting work on your arm. But look, you freed up this, so you can reset this. So I can put my chin back down again, put my shoulders in. And as my coach always says, you want to do like a Floyd Mayweather, like a Philly shell, like a nice and tight. Everything is nice and tight, and you want to make it hard, like an X guard, like boxing X guard, right? Like that. And you want to keep everything nice and tight. And that also goes for the legs, right? So if you're being attacked from the back. So that was one way you could hypothetically submit someone from behind. You take this, and you can even put your weight up, right? And then you just gently bring it over. Don't crank it, because you could bend or break the bone or destroy the guy's ligaments. Make sure this is tight so that he can't bend it and pull it. You want it bit here. And usually they'll start to free this up, so you won't get it. You'll probably end up with something like this, like that, right? But it's better than being in this, right? So you're getting one step closer. I am watching this on my VR. Well, I talk to my friends. Wow, hey, nice. Somebody's showing off that they have VR, eh? Okay, so that was option number 1. Option number 2, if somebody's trying to prepare a rear naked choke and they have their legs in, there's a lot you could do with the legs. So the first option is, you just need to imagine his foot is here and his foot is kind of going upwards. You want to push the foot down to your thigh and bring this over. So now his foot is here, right? His foot would be sticking out here. If you can do this, you can close that up. And then you have to deal with this, right? You have to get a good defense here. So if you're here, you bring the foot and you start to pull it like a lever, nice and slow. Kind of count like in a clock, right? Because if you just pull it down, you're going to set him free. You want to pull it to you and then pull it down, and you close with everything else here, right? This needs to be nice and closed. So when you're pulling it, you push your hip out and you might get the tap. He won't necessarily slip out because there's 2 angles for him to deal with. There's the angle between from here to his knee, then from his knee to his ankle, and then of course the foot to the top of the foot. So that's one way of also dealing with it. The triangle only works well when it is well fitted. Yeah, I agree, as does any. The only thing you don't need to fit well, that kind of always works as far as manipulating the opponent into the next position, in my opinion, is the Kimura. The Kimura you can just, the threat of the Kimura usually gets you out, but everything else has to be nice and tight. So when there is no way to escape. Yeah. Tightening the triangle, if you don't do that, then the dude is going to pass and he's going to smash. He's going to smash. Right, so that was 2 ways of getting out of the rear naked choke, remember. We're talking about from seatbelt, so I'm assuming we're already seated or we're sat. grab this, put this through here, start to bend. Whilst we're doing this, we can grab the foot, exchange here, we can start to pull clockwise like a lever, right? And then the third way, which is my most favorite way, is more of a, I only get the tap now and again with this. I guess I need to practice it more, but I really like it. You grab the foot here, right? So that's his leg. You grab the foot here and you let yourself fall to one position. So when you're falling to that position, you're making sure that your hips are on the ground so that he can't pull this leg out and come up and attack you from here. And then what you want to do is with this hand, you grab the foot, you grab the hand holding the foot, and you sit up perpendicularly. So you're here. Now all your shoulder weight is driving down to the guy's leg, right? And it's going through your elbow. So you're practically stabbing the guy in the shin, but you have to keep it like nice and tight, nice and like Saul just said, like keeping stuff tight, right? And then you pull this up, and then for some extra leverage, you take your hips off the ground. And usually in a very short period of time, you get the tap. You don't necessarily break anything with this, but it's very painful, and that's what catch wrestling is all about. So you're taking it, you're holding it up. But there's a downside to it. The rest of you is quite exposed, so you have to deal with all threats first. Once you've got rid of all the threats, then you can do it, and it has to come fast. So it's basically doing this. I don't know if you can see my leg here. So here, boom, here, and then you push the weight. And it's just under the bone where the Thai boxers harden. So it's here, on this nerve. And it's very, very sore. You can try it on yourselves if you want. JJ says, yeah, it's hard too. The gaming expert says, hi, JJ, welcome, JJ. I've got a puppet named after you. It's JJ here. Right. So guys, once again, very easy to build. Take your old belts, add them here. You got them here, right? A pillow, you tie everything up, and that's you. You have a little guy. You can practice. You can even practice some standing. So I can even do cow catcher, for example. I can do here. I get the underhook. Well, normally I would grab the head, but let's say I get the underhook. And then I lift the underhook, and then you can like put the knee on and then practice your combos and whatnot, right? You can do a couple of things with this standing up. Hold on, I'll be right back. Gaming Expert, hopefully Gaming Expert is doing well. Guys, don't forget to drop a like, much appreciated. All right, grab some water. Can you demonstrate mounting the triangle? Demonstrate mounted. the triangle. I'm being mounted or I mounted someone? I'm not a triangle expert. I normally don't go for it because I don't like lying on my back. But I can show you. I can show the basics that I know. So let's say I've just thrown him down. He's on the ground. Now, I think this is what you mean. Let's say I'm knee on belly, right? So I'm knee on belly and I want to get to a mount position. That will then give me the triangle, right? If that's what you mean. So what I can do here is, like for example, from this position, I can simply switch over here. You have to make sure you don't kick anyone else in the room. And then his head and his arm, I would simply bring that forward as I punch out this leg a little and go like this. Then I would have a form of a triangle. I can kind of flip myself onto my back, but like I said, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like flipping myself onto my back. Shirt out wrong. My shirt? Wait, what? My shirt? No, my shirt's good. What, sorry, what was it you were meaning? Train with your dummy? All right, so this is one way you can keep it, but to be honest, I'm not a fan of this. I can kind of pull him in, this arm here, control, right? Try and switch over to a Kimura, try and get that. But I'm normally not a fan of this because it's easy to be, like, I don't know. I think it's easy to be toppled over. If I'm in a mount position where I've got the triangle in mount, I usually get toppled over. I'm not an expert in it, like I said. But that's how you could do it, if that makes sense. So that's one way to do it. Good mounted, yeah. So I'll show you once again. But like I said, I don't think that's ideal. I usually like to have, I don't know, it's just not ideal for me. Maybe just for my style. Maybe I just need to be a little bit more open to this kind of thing. So it's all my bad, you know, but there are people out there who definitely know how to do this really good. So here, you're here, and then let's say you want to do something flashy. You go here, and that normally looks a lot flashier when someone else does it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up into here. Now this arm here, if this is free, don't worry. If you've got this, he's going to have a hard time with this. What I can do, if he tries this, I can grab it. And then I can submit him like this. But you're talking about specifically about triangles. So if he's here, then what I could do is I could hook that in, come here, and then press. And then usually when you press enough, he's going to say ouch, and he'll tap. Yeah. Now I'll do a triangle from the bottom, something I don't like, but I'll do it for you so that you've seen it. There's a message held for review. Let me just check the message real quick. Soviet nationalism says, show us testicular pulverization takedown. Soviet nationalism. I'll show you that afterwards. Right, so he's here. I've got him in my mount. Like I said, guys, in freestyle grappling, some no-gi submission tournaments, you'll get more points for putting the pressure. So if I'm here, I can be pressured upon. Don't really like this position. But anyway, let's just take an example. Let's say I underhook here, and I bring this forward, right? So now I have to get rid of this. I can't choke him like this. There's other things I could do, but I can't really choke him like this. I could get the straight armbar. But what I want to do is, I want to get rid of this, right? That's where I'm unfortunately not an expert on. But what you could do is, here, you could punch it up and bring this in here for a Kimura. And then when he pulls it back to free from the Kimura, you can push it down. And then you can get your triangle. But this is a very dirty triangle. Normally it should be a little bit higher at the knee. Right? So now I've got him in triangle. So now there's some dangers here for me. Also, this is going to take more endurance for me to make sure that I'm not put off balance. So if he stands up, let's say he's a wrestler. So if he stands up, now he's on top. So now I would need to take out one of his legs. Here, boom, and then grab his leg as well. So just because you've got the triangle in, it doesn't mean anything. And also, like I said, guys, not a huge fan of it. If you add punches and you're in a mount, if you're doing this and he starts to stomp my face, it's going to be issues, man. It's going to be issues. So if he starts kicking me in the back, that's why I'm not a huge fan with it. But I mean, if you guys ask for something, I'll try and show you. All right, Soviet, I think you were asking for something. Right. Soviet, let's say the guy tries to take me down. He comes in, boom, right? Right in here, right? See my foot? Boom. And as he goes forward, no, why you do this? I come here, and I go, boom, with his head in there. There you go, there's your nuclear weapon. No, instead tell me how to get out of an armbar. Well, that works too, yes. Potentially it could work. Armbar, there's different ways to get out. If you're athletic, then you could really do some wrestling rolls to get out. So first thing you want to do is make sure you don't get caught in the armbar. So here, I'm going to show you this. Hopefully this will explain a little bit of the mechanics in the armbar. If my arm's here by itself, we have a problem. If two of my arms are in here, a problem, but not as bad as you would think, because I can use both the arms to leverage and hold each other. If both these are over me, oh, one of his legs disappeared. Hold on, let me get one of his legs back. Right. So now both of my arms are here, right? First thing I want to do is I want to get rid of, this is the type of armbar you're talking about, right? Or did you mean a standing armbar? I'll show you this. So this is what I usually do. This here, his two legs, is what gives him the leverage in his hips to do the armbar and then eventually snap my elbow. What I want to do is take away this leverage. One of the simplest things you can do is getting rid of this. and then you come in like that. Guillotine chokey. Guillotine chokey. Yeah, this. Yeah, yeah. So this here is very hard to deal with, this one, but you can also deal with it. Usually, if somebody is mounting me and they're setting up the arm bar, you can kind of feel it. So what you normally do is, whilst he grabs this, now he's grabbing my arm. So now he's got my arm. Now he wants an arm bar. So first of all, I don't want to be perpendicular. Normally I would be fighting to get on top of him and using my elbow, push that on his, just underneath his belly button and lifting my weight, right? I don't know if you're Russian, you're called Soviet, so maybe you know of the old Russian techniques of distributing the weight into one point and stuff, the old wrestling techniques. You get them in Sambo. So this already makes him want to switch. I also have to make sure that he's not just alone with my arm. So that's already the first stop, dealing with it as early as possible. Let me see your comment. Could the triangle be the same choke as the buggy choke? Nap. I don't know. Nap choke? I don't know. But buggy choke, we'll look at buggy choke in a second. Buggy choke has a very low probability if the opponent isn't tired. So yeah, so he's got this, right? So ultimately, I want to get out of here. This leg here, you'll need to practice it so you can put all these steps together and you can interchange them. But this leg here, if his leg is here, already that's a submission for me potentially if I put this over here and grab this and put my weight up, right? You see? That's one option. You can also take this, put this in here, force your hips in that direction, right? That will help spread his legs wide apart and get you out there. So now, let's say, oh, he's put me here. He's getting ready for the choke. What I can do is, I can place this here, and this goes here, right? A little bit higher to make it hard for this leg to get over. I've done that even when doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I could do it with black belts. I would stop their leg going over because it's physics, and black belts are normally very tight in the way they go over. So as soon as you put that there, there's that extra little thing stopping them. It buys you maybe 5 seconds more of life with a black belt, but with the lower belts, you can get out. So here, I'm like this. Then the next thing is I want to take this leg, swing it around, and start going up, putting my weight on him. Let's say it's too late. So now he's got this here and he's got this here. So it's a very bad position for me. So normally, clasping your hands together, well, he comes up for the... Once you clasp your hands together, you save yourself a little bit of time. But it's very painful on your tendons and ligaments. So what I tend to do is, I bring my right elbow up as far as possible, and then try and get myself a little bit on my side, right? Then what they normally do, they'll try and either come forward to get more leeway to pull out my arm, or they'll try and pull it in another direction, which is kind of like a 45-degree angle for them in that direction. So when they do either of these two, I help their momentum slightly, and then there's your triangle from earlier on. So that's also one way of doing it. Would you say armbar is a good move or no? I personally don't use them because they're long to set up. But actually, I've got one move that I like more than the armbar. It's a cross armbar. The choke hold that grips the palm of your hand. So my hand is like this, and then somebody grips it. That I don't understand. I'm sorry, Robin. Soviet, let me answer your question real quick. Or not answer your question. I mean, armbar is not really. Using the armbar as transiting options is good though. So for example, let's say we're here. Just going to put his arms back in. Let's say we're here, right? So I've got him here. Put him, boom, boom. So now I'm here. Now let's say he rolls with me. So he puts his underhooks in, he tries to get up, then I could potentially use an armbar to combine everything, right? So it's good to have it in your toolkit, but what I prefer is this. You have the armbar and he's fighting against it. So you submit this. You don't wait until you don't push the arms out and then get the armbar. You don't wait until you have that. You submit this. This is a submission right here. It's an under armbar. And basically all you do is, he's holding this, and you simply go, and then you go like that. I don't know if you can see it. That is probably the most painful submission you can do for an arm. That right there. Down grips of the palm of your hand. Down grips. What is the name of the choke? This look, Darce choke. Ah, Darce choke. Yeah, so Darce choke is basically a variation of the anaconda, and the anaconda is a variation of the Darce choke. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure which is which, but let's do that real quick. Guy is here, right? Let's say we're standing. You can even technically start in standing, or technically even do it in standing. Let's say I push him to me, and I push him into a headlock. So do you see this here? I don't know if you guys can see it. My arm is here, and then I would put him here. I would never do this to one of my training partners, but in theory, you can lock the legs and fall down with him. And that would be your neck crank. So this is more of a Darce. And an anaconda choke is not through his head and his arm, but through his arm and his head. That is where you would pull up. Make sure his legs are under control, and that's where you would pull up if we were on the ground. Neck crank, you've got different kind of neck cranks. So this is a neck crank. So it's a power Nelson. So here, sometimes you can flip in to flip him, right? So you can push this down forward, so his arms are like spread like eagles. So that would be like also one option. Or you can simply grab this and push it sideways. So you could have a neck crank or a chin crank variation. Other than that, my favorite and the most simplest and the one that I get the most submissions with, if he tries to take down, if I get this in early enough with one arm, you put this on the shoulder and then you get the tap. So yeah, there's a couple of variations. All right, guys, so let's see, what time is it right now? How much? Oh, okay. So that's it. That's it for today. So let me just, oops. There we go. All right. So we did some escapes. We did some warm-ups, neck cranks, elbow cranks. We did a bit of Kimura, rear naked chokes. What else did we do? Or a ninja choke. Oh, I don't know the ninja choke. I need to Google that later on. They've got all types of names for all types of chokes. Ultimately, when you grapple yourself, you'll get submissions for things that you've never seen before. I got a submission for something like this. The guy's arm was like this, and I bent this, and I pushed it into me. So I was pushing it into me like that. Right? And I just pushed it in, and then he said tap. I've never seen that before. I'll just call it a Kareem choke. You can throw all those names, but I mean, your basics is Kimura. Kimura is probably the most versatile. Rear naked choke is the most popular. Armbar is the one with the lowest probability these days. Leg locks are very important, and yeah, that's basically it. There's a multitude. You bent his wrist, yep. One way you can prepare his wrist being bent is, let's say you're in this position here. This guy's suit's slowly starting to fall apart. Let's say you're in this position here, so you've got your hips up, you're putting your weight on him, and he tries to free out. You can grab this, put this on the floor, and then you can bend it. And then once it's bent, you push this here, and you can just push it on the floor. And he'll tap either to this or to that. But of course, with every submission, he's doing a counter, right? So you keep that in mind. So whatever you're doing, the other guy's working on something. And ultimately, one of the easiest ways to get out of submissions is just good defense, practicing a lot of defense, and also athleticism. Simple athleticism can help a lot if you just be a little bit passive, take a step back, you know, then you can survive a lot. So yeah, but I think that's why wrestlers are very hard to submit. They don't submit a lot because wrestling doesn't really call for it. And when they do it, they usually learn power submissions. That's why I think wrestlers should learn catch wrestling. It's the most natural next step. What do you think of Jiu-Jitsu artificial intelligence robot? Well, with Jiu-Jitsu, you mean that robot that when you pull it, it goes do 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 do. It's like when you break something officially. Is that the robot you're talking about? I think they're expensive though. I don't know if I could buy them and store them anywhere in the house without my cats ripping at them. This is also a good one. Keep your hips up. Make sure you don't get swept to that side, right? So I'm keeping this tight. Push this here. And then into his face. Oh, that's a beautiful one. It makes like the biggest, strongest guys. It just makes them go blah, 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 and then you pull it up like a semi neck crank. Yeah. So that was my question to Robin. He didn't answer it. Maybe he's away. But I think, I don't know, artificial intelligence and jiu-jitsu robots. Unless it's something else he meant. So guys, that was that. That was just a small training today. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. I'll be doing one tomorrow as well. Thank you everyone who stopped by. Let me just thank everyone real quick personally. So shout out to Robin, to Soviet Nationalism, to the Gaming Expert, to JJR, Cyclone VR, Sook, Mr. Reaper, Casianto, Bradyat, Ronan Rugby, Mian Selindi, Iris, Murakoze Brother, Queen Rose, Cobby Lad, Raven, Mondeki, The Gamer, and everyone else. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, then it's amazing when he's about to sleep, he flashes his colourful eyes. Ah, yeah, I've seen that robot. It's pretty good, but I think my cats would just rip him apart with their claws. Yeah, drop a like, see you in the next one, and take good care of each other, and don't stop training, guys. It's the most important thing. Even if you're not making progress one day, keep at it. It's discipline, and we'll all get better together. So take good care, guys. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one.